Silence is the fortress of power, the invisible armor that shields you from unnecessary exposure, and the weapon that allows you to strike without warning. When you understand that the world is a battlefield, where words are often used as traps, you begin to realize that restraint in speech is not weakness but strategy. The more you reveal, the more you surrender. The less you reveal, the more control you maintain. People betray themselves not through what they do, but through what they say. And those who cannot control their tongue cannot control their fate. To shut up and win is to learn the ultimate discipline. To act without broadcasting. To advance without announcing. To conquer without explaining. The tragedy of most men is that they confuse talking with doing. They believe that by announcing their plans, by declaring their dreams, by sharing their strategies, they have already taken a step toward victory. But words are empty unless they are backed by power. And the more words you throw into the world, the more you dilute your strength. Your enemies do not need to investigate you. If you volunteer every piece of information yourself, they simply wait, listen, and strike where you have exposed yourself. This is why silence is priceless, because it denies your enemies the clarity they crave. It forces them to guess, and while they are busy guessing, you are busy moving. Machiavelli understood that rulers are judged not by what they promise, but by what they achieve. A prince who constantly talks about his intentions will be despised for his lack of results. A prince who keeps silent, works in shadows, and only presents the finished product of his ambition will be admired, feared, and obeyed. The same is true in your life. If you want respect, stop telling people what you will do and simply do it. Let the results speak. The world worships results and forgets promises. Silence also serves as a mask. In a world where everyone is desperate to read others, to interpret their motives, to anticipate their actions, silence is the one element that cannot be decoded. If you talk, people can place you in a box. They can decide whether you are weak, strong, intelligent, foolish, ambitious, or insecure. If you remain silent, you deny them that comfort. They are left with uncertainty, and uncertainty is power. A man who cannot be read is a man who cannot be controlled. In negotiations, silence is the hidden hand that bends the conversation in your favor. When you remain quiet, the other side feels an unbearable need to fill the void. They begin to reveal their fears, their desires, their weaknesses. They make concessions just to break the tension. The more you talk, the more you give away. The more you stay silent, the more they give away. Silence turns the balance of power toward you without you lifting a finger. Consider also the art of timing. Victory is not achieved by announcing your moves early, but by striking at the exact moment when resistance is weakest. Talking ruins timing because it alerts others to prepare against you. Silence protects timing. It keeps your enemies blind, ensuring that when you strike, they are unprepared. Every boxer knows that a telegraphed punch loses its power. Every general knows that a declared invasion loses its element of surprise. Every ambitious man must know that a spoken plan loses its strength. The essence of victory is surprise, and surprise can only exist where silence has been preserved. Ego is the great enemy of silence. Men talk because they crave recognition. They want to be admired for their intelligence, their ambition, their vision. But admiration without power is useless, and applause without results is nothing but noise. When you announce your plans, you are seeking validation instead of victory. You are trading power for approval. The disciplined man kills his ego, suppresses the urge to talk, and channels all his energy into execution. The loud man gathers fans. The silent man gathers power. The fans vanish when failure arrives. The power remains when success is achieved. History is filled with men who failed because they revealed too much too soon. Leaders who declared their ambitions invited coalitions against them. Generals who announced their campaigns gave enemies time to prepare. Businessmen who boasted about their ideas saw them stolen. On the other hand, those who maintained secrecy, who let silence hide their intentions, achieved greatness without resistance. Napoleon understood this. Hitler exploited it. Stalin mastered it. They used silence not as absence but as presence, not as emptiness but as concealment of strategy. Your enemies cannot destroy what they cannot see. Your rivals cannot counter what they cannot predict. Your critics cannot mock what they do not know. Silence is not the absence of communication, but the perfection of communication. It sends a message more powerful than words. I will not give you access to my mind, my plans, or my weaknesses. It says, you may watch my actions, but you will never know what comes next. It says, by the time you understand me, I will already have one. This discipline must extend to every part of life. In relationships, silence shields you from manipulation. If you reveal too much about what you want, you give others the tools to exploit you. If you talk endlessly about your feelings, you give them control over your emotions. If you remain silent, measured, restrained, you force them to guess. And when they guess wrong, you remain in power. In your career, silence shields your ambitions. If you announce every step you plan to take, jealous colleagues and rivals will sabotage you. If you reveal your weaknesses, competitors will attack you there. If you boast about your goals, they will mock you when you fail. But if you remain silent, you move invisibly. And when success arrives, no one can deny it. Success that comes from silence has the power of inevitability. Even in war, silence wins battles. The ambush, the surprise attack, the sudden betrayal, all depend on silence. The enemy who hears nothing suspects nothing. The enemy who suspects nothing cannot resist. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but boldness is nothing without secrecy. Fortune itself must be tricked, caught off guard, ambushed. Boldness without silence is just recklessness. Boldness with silence is destiny. Silence is also the foundation of discipline. To remain silent when every part of you wants to speak, to defend yourself, to argue, to explain, to justify. This is mastery of the self. If you cannot control your tongue, you cannot control your actions. If you cannot control your actions, you cannot control your fate. Silence trains you to endure discomfort, to live with uncertainty, to accept that others may misunderstand you. But misunderstandings do not matter. Outcomes matter. The weak man cannot endure being misunderstood and so rushes to explain. The strong man accepts misunderstanding as the price of power. When you are silent, you build anticipation. People wonder what you are thinking, what you are planning, what you are hiding. This wonder gives you influence. Curiosity is power. They lean toward you, waiting for your words, and because your words are rare, they carry weight. The loud man exhausts his audience. The silent man keeps them hungry, and hunger makes them obedient. To shut up and win is to invert the natural instincts of the human mind. Your instinct is to seek validation, to announce, to explain, to justify. But victory does not come from instinct. It comes from strategy. You must rewire yourself to find satisfaction not in applause but in results, not in promises but in triumph, not in noise but in silence. The discipline of silence is the seed of victory, and those who master it hold the world in their hands. The art of silence is not passive. It is aggressive, offensive, and strategic. To remain silent is to keep your weapons hidden until the exact moment of impact. The impatient man talks himself into weakness, but the disciplined man allows silence to choke his rivals with uncertainty. Every word unsaid is a move preserved, a strike held in reserve, a weapon still sharp. Those who cannot shut up throw away their strength before the war even begins. Those who can remain silent keep the battlefield tilted in their favor. Power is not about being understood. Power is about being obeyed, feared, and respected. Yet most men waste their energy trying to be understood, trying to explain, trying to justify. They forget that the greatest leaders in history were misunderstood in their time. They were called ruthless, heartless, cold, even mad, but once they won, their silence was remembered as wisdom, their restraint remembered as strategy. History does not remember the complaints of their critics. It remembers only their results. When you are tempted to speak, to explain yourself, to justify your ambition, remember this: your critics' words will vanish, your victories will remain. Silence allows you to play multiple games at once. If you reveal your plan, you are committed to one path, one interpretation, one direction. Your enemies can predict you, but if you remain silent, you can adapt at any moment. Silence is flexibility. You can be friend or foe, ally or rival, merciful or ruthless. depending on what benefits you most. Talking fixes you in place. Silence keeps you fluid, and fluidity is survival. The river does not explain its flow. It simply moves around obstacles and carves valleys from stone. Be like the river, say nothing, move, conquer. People crave certainty. They want to know where you stand, what you believe, what you plan to do. When you deny them certainty, they feel exposed, vulnerable, insecure, and in that insecurity, they make mistakes, they overreact, they overprepare, they misinterpret. All of this benefits you. Silence is psychological warfare. When you say nothing, you force others to invent stories about you. They will project fears and fantasies onto your silence. Some will overestimate you and back down. Some will underestimate you and be destroyed. In both cases, you win. This is why even in personal conflicts, the silent man dominates. Arguments are traps designed to make you reveal yourself. The one who explains himself loses. The one who shouts loses. The one who debates endlessly loses. The one who remains calm, silent, impenetrable, he wins. Because silence cannot be defeated. Words can be countered with words, but silence is a wall. It absorbs everything and gives nothing back. To attack silence is to punch at shadows, to fight a ghost. That is why silence terrifies enemies more than shouting ever could. Machiavelli would remind you that appearances are stronger than truth, but appearances require control, and control requires restraint. If you speak too much, you destroy the illusion. If you remain silent, you can maintain any illusion you wish. You can be merciful today and ruthless tomorrow, forgiving now and vengeful later. Silence gives you the space to create masks and change them as needed. Silence gives you the ability to present the image that best suits your goals. Talking ties you to one image forever, but silence makes you limitless. In business, silence is the secret weapon of the master negotiator. If you reveal your bottom line, you have already lost. If you reveal your desperation, you have already been exploited. But if you remain silent, if you let the other side wonder whether you care, whether you need the deal, whether you have other options, you gain leverage. The more they wonder, the more they offer, the less you speak. The more they speak, and the more they speak, the more they expose themselves. Silence creates profit. In war, silence is the essence of deception. The enemy who believes you are weak, because you say nothing will be destroyed when you strike with unexpected strength. The enemy who believes you are strong, because you say nothing may surrender before the fight begins. Silence allows you to create illusions of both weakness and strength, whichever benefits you most. The true strategist does not reveal whether he is strong or weak, merciful or cruel, ready or unprepared. He allows silence to do the work, keeping the enemy blind and unbalanced. The world is addicted to noise. Men chatter endlessly about politics, about sports, about gossip, about dreams. They seek comfort in sound, because silence confronts them with reality. The man who masters silence is already superior, because he is no longer ruled by the same addiction. He can endure quiet. He can endure being misunderstood. He can endure the discomfort of not being praised. And that endurance transforms into dominance. The loud crowd follows trends, applause, and emotions. The silent man follows strategy, timing, and results. Your words are currency. The more you spend, the less value they hold. The less you spend, the more valuable each word becomes. If you speak rarely, people hang on your sentences. They believe you have thought deeply, that you possess wisdom. If you speak constantly, your words are treated like background noise, ignored, dismissed, forgotten. By speaking less, you amplify your influence. By remaining silent until the decisive moment, you ensure your voice lands like thunder. Control yourself, and you will control others. If you cannot control your own tongue, how will you control armies, markets, or nations? The man who speaks less listens more. He gathers information, learns secrets, identifies weaknesses. The man who speaks more listens less, learns nothing, and exposes everything. Silence is intelligence in action. Every conversation is an opportunity to learn or to lose. If you are silent, you learn. If you speak, you risk losing. Think of betrayal. Every betrayal in history began with words. Someone spoke too much, trusted too much, revealed too much. Silence makes betrayal nearly impossible because there is nothing to betray. If no one knows your plan, no one can ruin it. If no one knows your weakness, no one can exploit it. If no one knows your next move, no one can block it. Silence is the antidote to betrayal. It makes you untouchable. Yet silence is not cowardice. It is not retreat. It is the deliberate withholding of ammunition until it matters. Cowards are silent because they fear speaking. Strategists are silent because they know speaking is wasteful. Cowards avoid conflict. Strategists prepare for decisive conflict. Do not mistake silence for weakness. It is the quiet preparation of an inevitable storm. The ultimate goal of shutting up is to win so thoroughly that words are unnecessary. When victory is complete, explanation is irrelevant. The conquered do not ask for speeches. They bow. The rivals do not request honesty. They are silenced. The world does not remember what you promised. It remembers what you achieved. If you want to live as more than an echo in history, abandon the addiction to noise. Words fade, results remain. Look at every man who has risen above his peers. He was not the one who spoke the most, who shouted his goals from rooftops, who broadcasted his ambitions. He was the one who worked quietly, endured in silence, prepared in secret, and revealed his greatness only when it was undeniable. Greatness does not need to be announced. Greatness needs only to be shown. That is why you must shut up and win. To live by this principle is to accept that loneliness will follow you. The silent man walks alone more often than the loud man, because the crowd is addicted to chatter. They will not understand your restraint. They will call you cold, arrogant, antisocial. Let them. Their misunderstanding is your shield. Their chatter is their weakness, while they waste their lives in endless noise. You are building an empire in quiet. Let their laughter echo. It will die out when your results stand towering above them. Silence builds aura, the aura of mystery, of discipline, of unshakable will. When you shut up, people sense that you know something they do not. They sense that you see further, plan deeper, endure longer, even if you do not. Their belief alone gives you power. Perception shapes reality, and silence shapes perception. The less you reveal, the more powerful you appear. And in the world of power, appearance often matters more than truth. When death approaches, when the final moment comes, no man will wish he spoke more. He will wish he acted more, achieved more, conquered more. Life is too short to waste on endless explanations. Save your breath for decisive words. Save your energy for decisive moves. Shut up and win, because in the end, victory is the only language that needs no translation.